The Presque Lighthouse was completed in 1873, and it's been a working aid to navigation along the shore of Lake Erie ever since. 9 keepers and their families resided in the lighthouse until 1944. Their number one job was to keep the tower light shining all night long during the shipping season on the Great Lakes from April through November. The keeper began his routine job in the oil room, where he filled the lamps for one night with fuel. These lamps were then taken to the top of the tower, one at a time, so a light would shine all night until sunrise. Although many different fuels were used in the lamps, kerosene became the fuel of choice because it burned cleaner, brighter, and was cheaper than other fuels. The supply of kerosene for the lamps in the tower and residence was stored in the small oil house that was constructed outside of the lighthouse because of the fear of fire. The original tower light was a one-lamp beacon which burned approximately 5.25 ounces of fuel an hour. The keeper would make the climb 3 to 4 times a night to check the fuel in the lamp and set the clockwork weights to keep the lens rotating. Before we make the climb, let's learn a little more about how the original tower light, called a Fresnel lens, worked. This Fresnel lens is an original 4th-order lens on loan from another lighthouse. It weighs approximately 450 pounds and is over 100 years old. It was never in the Presque Lighthouse Tower. A Frenchman, Augustin Jean Fresnel, developed the original Fresnel lens in the early 1800s. It was made of glass prisms. The prisms would reflect and refract the light into a central horizontal beam that was sent out over the water to identify the location for the mariners. It was so efficient that they were installed in lighthouses around the world. The light beacon was visible at a distance of 15.6 miles when standing on the deck of a commercial ship in Lake Erie. There were 6 different sizes of lenses. A first-order lens would be found in an oceanfront lighthouse, while a 3rd and 4th would have been in the lighthouses around the Great Lakes. The Fresnel lens in the Presque Tower was a 4th-order lens with red panels mounted around the outside as seen in the photo. As it rotated, using the clockwork mechanism, the light characteristic was red and white, giving it the nickname of the flashlight. Around 1949, electricity was installed in the tower, thus eliminating the need for a keeper to climb the tower every night during the shipping season to monitor the light. As we walk up the tower, remember, Presque Lighthouse still operates nightly to aid travelers on the water today. There are 78 steps leading up to the top of the tower with 6 landings. The curved metal steps were forged in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and sent to Erie by way of the Erie Canal. When we reach the first landing, you can see the gate leading to the beach from the window. Keep in mind that the keeper had to climb the steps when it was dark outside. At the 3rd landing, there is a clear picture of the oil house where the fuel was stored. At this point is where the additional 17 feet were added to the tower in 1896, so the beacon would shine a greater distance out over Lake Erie. The final ladder steps lead into the lantern, where the LED lamp sits on the original pedestal. The present LED lamp is a 6-tiered lamp totaling 60 watts of power and producing over 10,000 candela of light intensity that can be seen 13.5 nautical or 15.6 miles away. The light shines 365 nights a year. The light in the tower is a white light which comes on for 3 seconds and then goes off for 3 seconds. This gives the Presque Lighthouse a unique characteristic. Other lighthouses along the lake shore to the east and west of Presque also have their own unique characteristics, which allow travelers to identify their location on the water. The current light is auto-controlled by a photocell and will illuminate during the day if a dark cloudy storm moves toward the shore. The top of the lighthouse provides an incredible view of Presque State Park and Lake Erie. Canada is about 26 miles to the north across the lake. You can see the new sidewalks and the white tightboard fence around the grounds. The Welcome Center was reconstructed from an existing garage in May 2017. Notice the sidewalk leading east toward the city of Erie. It is the beginning of the mile-and-a-half sidewalk trail that the keeper had to walk in order to reach the boat. He then would row across the bay to the city to purchase regular supplies, attend church, or go to the doctor. In 1927, a peninsula road was extended to the lighthouse on the north side along the shoreline of Lake Erie. The tides washed the road away, forcing the decision to build a road on the south side of the lighthouse where you see today. In 1989, the Army Corps of Engineers constructed 55 rubble mounds along the north shoreline of the peninsula in an attempt to minimize erosion of the beaches. Every time storms with high winds hit the shoreline, erosion happens. The Presque Lighthouse is one of 3 lights in Erie, Pennsylvania. It still operates as an aid to navigation along with the North Pier light that is located near the channel into Presque Bay. The 3rd light, the Land Lighthouse, is not operational but has been restored. Presque Lighthouse was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1983. Since 2014, the Presque Lighthouse has been open to the public. The mission is to preserve and restore it for today's visitors and for future generations. This virtual tour was produced by Edinboro University's Center for Branding and Strategic Communication, part of the Northwest Pennsylvania Innovation Beehive Network.